This is the theme of Setback and Misery, Annie's skill, select frames. So Annie is now shaving Paul. And this is where he was saying it was a miracle that you found me. And then she says, not a miracle. I was following you. I'm your number one fan. And they engage in conversation. So we know Annie knows how to shave somebody. So she must have been married before or had brothers or something like that. Well, we know that she's been married before. So then if she's shaving him very carefully like this, you have to wonder if she was shaving her own husband while he was lying in the bed. She says later in the movie that he ran off or he left her or something like that. But when Paul explores her house and looks through her memory lane um, photo book, she realizes, or he realizes, actually he plunged to his death. So then, how I was wondering about whether or not he was also sick in the bed, and that's how she had all of those tools to help him. And so she's very careful in how she shaves him, and he when they engage, he moves his face or he moves his head, and she says, don't move. I don't want to hurt that neck. And then she's glad that he's alive so he can write more books. And that she loves all of his books. And Annie has a lot of knowledge about Paul, and she has a lot of knowledge about the books, especially the plot development, the characters. Annie is one of those people who's part of your fan base who knows your work better than anybody. I've often heard people say that they don't want to write sci-fi, right under the sci-fi um, mode or genre, because you cannot mess up like horror films or sci-fi or anything like that. You cannot mess up in the character descriptions or in the plot or the context, because people, they're like little worlds, and people know those worlds, and they know when you are getting out of your mastery orientation and trying to do something new, and they'll call you on it. And so Annie is one of those people. She knows his work. She knows she has, well, she knows his biography, but she doesn't really know his autobiography. So sometimes we think we know a person that we are fans of, but we don't really know them like they know themselves. And so she's one of those people who knows Paul Sheldon, but she also knows his work. She knows, she has knowledge as a reader, which suggests that she knows that the Misery series has more in it to continue. As much as Paul wants to get out of the Misery business, she knows that when he kills off Misery because of childbirth, due to childbirth, that cannot be the end. It does, for him. It doesn't make, for her. It doesn't make any sense for it to be the end. But for him, he's in many ways he's taking the easy way out, because killing her in childbirth instead of letting the child die and she process that death is basically trying to get out of something really before your time, because she feels like there's more to the series beyond the eighth book. He feels like, I got to get out of this thing and I got to find a way to get out of it, however way I'm going to get out of it. So I'll just go on ahead and kill her. Even the agent has a problem with it. Even the agent doesn't feel like it's right to kill her off, to let it die in that way. So that lets you know you have two sort of witnesses to his work that who both sort of argue against Misery dying and how she's dying and how it doesn't make any sense. I thought it was kind of interesting how the writer director spends a lot of time on Annie shaving Paul. I understand that Paul can't shave himself in a sense, right? And later, when Annie is trying to change the narrative and she wants Paul to burn his book, um, she eventually gives him a shaving tools, right, for him to shave himself. It's a electric razor and just a whole collection of tools that he can use on his own. But I noticed that Reiner spends a lot of time in having Annie shave Paul from side to side, near the neck, and just, you know, just a lot of time. And in their conversation, she's again telling him when he engages her in conversation. So there's some kind of um, not familiarity, but a sense of maybe less anxiety on Paul's part, that he now trusts Annie. Well, basically, he has no other choice but to trust Annie. But the fact that she says she's a nurse, and the fact that she has done such a great job of trying to help him recover, giving him medication, taking care of him, feeding him, giving him the pills and water, he is engaging her in conversation as almost as if they have known each other for a long time, and that maybe he drove to her house to get better, right? That their conversation feels a lot more casual than it did before, and we understand why it wouldn't feel casual in the beginning, because she rescued him. He didn't know where he was and why he wasn't in the hospital, and why he was there in her house. And so there's going to be some anxiety there. But when she's shaving him and talking about how much of a miracle it was that she found him, she's telling him, don't move, I don't want to hurt that neck. And then, I'm so glad you basically are alive to write more books. And again, she has a lot of knowledge of him as a reader, but spending all this time in shaving him and engaging in conversation at the same time gives us, it still maybe sort of distracts us from who Annie really is. And again, we're not going to find out who she really is until much later, but we have no sense that Annie is mentally disturbed. No sense of this. And because why would a mentally disturbed person take so much time to shave her patient, right? And care about it, and engage in conversation about it, and admire the patient too. So I just thought that was so interesting that he spent so much time sort of having them engage in conversation, and Annie shaving Paul. So we see them engaging in conversation. She's already shaved one side of his face, right? He doesn't seem afraid. He doesn't seem scared. Doesn't seem anxious. This is where she's saying, be careful, I don't want to shave that neck. And she gets it very close to his face. So he won't have to worry about stubble or anything like that. And then she gets to the other side and she's still shaving him, and he feels comfortable. That's a razor. That is a razor to his face, razor to his neck. At any time, she could change the script and just cut him or do anything other than help him to recover. And then he's shaved and they're still having their conversation. And this is where she's saying you can write more books, right? Again, I want to make a note that Annie is great as an audience, as a reader, as a fan, in terms of her understanding of Paul, his books, rather. She knows reading, but she doesn't know writing. So when Paul tells her to when she asks, can I read what's in your briefcase, I noticed that there's a new book," she says. "I noticed that there's a new book, and I wanted to know if you wouldn't mind if I could read it." And when he gives her permission to read it, he's also asking her to judge the writing of it. When she asks what's the title of the book, he doesn't know. What's the book about? He doesn't know, right? And then he said, maybe you could come up with a title and maybe tell me what the book is about. He's right there getting her to judge his own writing, meaning that he's trying to get her to judge his knowledge base, when the only knowledge base that she has of Paul Sheldon is his work with Misery. She doesn't know any other knowledge base other than his biography, his habits, and she probably got all that information through interviews, about him, any kind of commentary he has done, any sort of biography information or whatever. It doesn't seem like he has written his own autobiography, so she wouldn't have been able to get any information. So she's been spending time gleaning from different source materials about who Paul is, but she doesn't understand writing. Annie is a nurse. She's not a writer. Even though when she is confronted with Buster, when Buster comes looking for Paul, she lies and says that she turned that room that you see here into a writing studio and that she's been doing all the writing. That's lying, right? She's already saying that but that's her way of trying, that's sort of ego, that's her way of trying to get on top of something without the work ethic. And so he's trying to get her to be something that she's not. She's only supposed to nurse him. And she's only supposed to do that until the road's clear and she can call and she can do whatever she needs to do to get him to a hospital. And his setback here is trying to get her to be something that she's not. She's a great reader. When he has to rewrite this book, to extend the Misery series at her behest, she retells the story, the narratives, in such a way that beyond a shadow of a doubt she's been paying attention. She's a reader, but she is not a writer. And so she finishes shaving him, gives him the towel to finish cleaning off himself. All right, like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit my YouTube channel for further film analysis. It's Favorites Film Analysis as the title of the channel. You can always send me an email and ask me a question, reginayfavorites@yahoo.com. My Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction book will become available around October 2021. I'm still doing some editing. The book does not focus on film analyses, but I use the content that I created for the book to support my my perceptions of setback used as a theme in select films. So when the book becomes available, I will send out a notification video, audio. Thank you very much for visiting the channel.